Acquiring a business was one of the biggest mistakes that I ever made. Several years ago, I was operating a construction company and I came across an opportunity to buy a business that made replica historic windows and doors. And you may not think that that's a big market, but historic preservation is a huge market. There are billions of dollars spent every single year here in this country, a lot of it backed by tax dollars to restore buildings across the country. And this guy had a one-of-a-kind business, one of the only ones in the United States. And it was right here in Oklahoma. And I had the opportunity to buy it. And I raised the capital and I bought it, but it was a huge mistake. There were so many issues with the business that I didn't see going in. And of course, now I probably would have looked at it a little bit different. But here's the thing, it didn't change why it was a bad decision, because it wasn't a bad decision because of the business the things that were wrong with the business. It was a bad decision because I just had no help doing it. You know, you have this legacy business, you have this person who's wanting to retire. And, you know, honestly, he just wasn't that much help after we acquired the business. His systems weren't that great. It just was a real struggle. And we had no one to talk to. We had no one to ask for help. We would get consulting and we would try to ask him, but, you know, he was so reluctant to see it go a different direction than what he had built that it made it really problematic. Working with founders can be kind of difficult. And so, yeah, it was a huge problem. And just a few years later after that, we quite literally sold it for parts. Yeah, we made a little bit of money, but ultimately it wasn't what I envisioned. And we basically just closed the business down. And during that kind of process, I knew that in the future, when I grew a business, I wouldn't grow it that way. I would grow it through a different model where there was more support for the person who bought the business or the person who was working in the business. And that's ultimately how I got introduced to franchising. I actually don't like the franchising industry, but I like the model because when it's applied the right way, you're building a business together. And that really interested me. And that was how we decided to grow any future business that we were going to start and build later.